Chris Mitchell, this is my story. I was born and bred in Easterhouse in a place called Banton Place at the top of Worldie Road. My mother, my father and my sister. And my wee granny and granda to my mother's side actually stayed round the corner in 47 Worldie Road. As I grew up, my mother and father and my sister decided to move out of Easterhouse into a place called Carmyle, also in the East End of Glasgow. So I kind of bounced back and forward to Easterhouse into Carmyle because I had two sets of friends from both sides in the East End. My father was a worker in Polmadie cleansing depot, night shift driving the Arctics. Obviously when you came out of school you're thinking you're going to get a couple of weeks in bed before you actually have to go and get yourself a job. So all of a sudden my old man says to me on the Monday morning, by the way, don't get too comfortable in there. You've got an interview with a Clenny up Mary Hull, Doss Home Depot at the time. So I didn't get time to lie in my bed for a week. So I left school on the Friday. I was at an interview on the Monday. 2 weeks before my national insurance number came in, I was actually working the Clenny on the Wednesday. So I've been from a road sweeper, to a bin man, to a shop steward, to a vice convener, to a convener. 29 years later, I'm still here. And some of the best times in my life and the best laughs that I've ever seen was in the cleansing. Honestly, the camaraderie and solidarity in these depots is second to none. And the characters are the most funniest people that I've ever met in my whole entire life. Honestly, some of the best days or the best laughs I had was out in these bin motors. Camaraderie is always there in the cleansing. Everybody always looks after each other, right? And it's funny, when you grow up with these people, when somebody retired, it's like losing one of your members of the family, right? Because they're always there. You could write an actual book about the cleansing and it'd be a bestseller. The stories that people can tell you. These people are comedians without realising they're actually funny. And I'm going to tell you a story about a guy that, which I'll come back to in a minute. I've got a very good friend of mine, a guy called Charlie Simpson. This guy used to take me to work every morning and take me home every single night. Managers, we're going down to Kelvin Grove Art Galleries. I think the Queen was coming or something like that. He wanted this guy to clean it up. And the litter was everywhere. It was a windy day. It was just blowing everywhere. Gales, and they pulled up and said to Charlie, what have you been doing, Charlie? The place is absolutely bogging. The Queen's coming. He went, what's it, Andy Gorham. I remember telling me one time, Chris, I'm going to buy a moped off a guy. The guy's built the moped itself. 75 quid it cost him. He'd actually think the engine was a hairdryer. So I'm sitting one day in my office as a shop steward and my door goes and they said, supervisor, want to bring me into the office. There's two police standing there. They follows Charlie from Mary Hull Road all the way down to the depot because he had no helmet. No helmet. He thinks he's combed his hair with a candy apple. Right? So jumps off the motor and the police says to him, Charlie, see at 5 o'clock tonight we're going to come back and you're finished shift. You need to get a helmet. He goes along to the Harley Davidson shop and comes back with a £400 Harley Davidson helmet. Something that you wear going along Route 66. He gets home to Mary Hull Road on a Friday night. Not a young team are standing outside asking people to go in and get their carry out. Charlie puts his moped against the wall, leaves the keys in it. Has asked one of the young team going to hold his helmet. So what happens? Don't knock his bike. They run away with his helmet. His 500 quid helmet is gone. Never mind the moped that's sitting there with the keys in it. They take his helmet. This is the characters. Doesn't matter what depot you go to, there's characters. That's what makes the Clenny so unique. You could write a book and it would be a bestseller. But on that story, a more sad story about that. Unfortunately, one time that Charlie didn't appear for 3 or 4 days at his work, and obviously people were getting a bit worried about him when he answered his phone. Didn't phone into the work to see he was going to be absent or late or anything like that. It was me at the time, the supervisor at the time, he's now a manager now, decided to go up to his house. And that was probably the worst thing that I'd seen as a shop steward and as a worker, representing these people. That we were up with probably about 20 up, worked the Burn Flats at the time with the concierge. And Charlie's door was actually lying open slightly. I went into the room, and Charlie was a hoarder. Charlie used to take everything home for the bins and just take them home to his house and build a lot of stuff. And the time that I knew Charlie, he used to find old rings, like skull rings and everything else, and put them on his fingers, all chains and all that. I remember walking into this room, and the concierge guy just running right by myself and the manager at the time. Get out the house, there's something wrong here. So I opened the door, and unfortunately I found a good pal of mine for years, a good colleague and a good comrade of mine dead. Me and the manager just stood looking at each other, and a rigor mortis had set in. And the only reason I recognised this guy was because I seen the skull ring on his finger. And that was fully heartbreaking at that point. And the police said at the time that obviously after done the autopsy and everything else, that he took a massive heart attack. And that's when I knew at that point how much I cared for these workers. And it was shocking. A colleague and friend I knew for years died. And if you go to every depot in this city, you'll see it. They've got a wall where people have passed away in the cleansing. Some young, some old, some that should be still here now. But the thing you get in cleansing department is they rally around each other when something like this happens. That's one thing you get. And they rally around their families as well. And the amount of people that I've seen in here that are now no longer here, that's why I get upset with people's flag or talk about the cleansing. And that's why I'll always defend the cleansing department to the hill. The cost of living crisis is going to be one of the biggest crises that we'll ever face. This is only just the start of this. And what I've seen in the depot so far is heartbreaking. I know that people are bringing in food parcels for their workmates because they are more fortunate than them, because maybe their wives have got other jobs. I've seen people bringing in food parcels and putting them in the dinner table at dinner time, and they're gone within a second. People are telling me they can't afford their rent. People are telling me they can't afford their mortgage. I'm getting told on a daily basis they're struggling to get to work because they can't afford the transport. And our members are now willing to talk about it on camera. They're telling the heartbreak that they're facing. You've heard the stories. You've heard the horrible tales. And I'm one of them as well. I'm a grade 2 worker. I've got 3 kids and I struggle every single week. So they can't afford to pay their rent. They can't afford to pay their gas and electricity. They can't afford to eat. And they're having to do or ask for vast amounts of overtime just to make their wages up. Not to go fancy holidays or anything like that. Now remember, we take pride in this city. We take pride in cleaning this city. We take pride in bringing our kids up in this city. And I'm one of the members. I'm struggling. My members are struggling. These aren't the fabricated stories. This is the reality that we face. And when I finish here, what I'm going to tell you quite clearly is October is going to have a devastating effect as gas and electricity goes up. And apocalyptic, that's what the governor said at the Bank of England, come the end of the year. People are not going to afford food prices. Food prices are going to soar. But he's telling you on the other hand, watch what you're doing when you're asking for a pay rise. The same guy is on a 6-figure salary. What I'm saying to the Scottish Government and COSLA, you're the one that are going to cancel Christmas this year for thousands of workers. And you want to be ashamed of yourselves. This is Chris Mitchell for the GMB Trade Union. Thank you very much.